Thank you, Mr. President and members of this body. I rise in opposition to HB 1EX. As I was sitting here listening to this debate, I was quite unsure as to whether or not I would even stand before you in this well today. But as I started thinking about really the gravity of these decisions that we're making and started thinking about people of color in this state, black, yellow, red, brown, I felt a churning deep inside me, and it said, you have to get up here and speak for those that have no voice in this General Assembly, and not only those that have no voice, but under these maps, it'll be at least another decade before they can even seek to gain any kind of voice up here in this General Assembly. But let me be clear, I am not under any kind of illusion that anything that I will say from this well today will stop these maps that I believe are racially polarized and politically divisive from being passed in this General Assembly. I am not under any illusion. And I'm not under any illusion because there are those in here that believe philosophically that they're doing the right thing. I only ask that those that believe that respect the opinion that I share and others like me share in this General Assembly that differ with them. I believe this process is seriously flawed. There's been mention of outside law firms that have been engaged, that was paid with public money to bring advice and counsel and even to do some analysis regarding the formation of these maps. I asked a simple question that I thought would be easily answered, and that is whether or not there's any statistical, empirical, qualitative, quantitative, any kind of data that I could see that I could use to base my vote on today regarding the authenticity and really whether or not these maps meet the challenges that we have under the Voting Rights Act. None of that was provided. What I was told was that you'll have an opportunity to see it once this package is forwarded to the Department of Justice. I don't believe that's fair, and I certainly don't believe that that's the right thing to do when this information is crucial to my vote and my decision regarding this process. I've heard that there's former GOP attorneys that were acting as lead counsels in this process, but yet members in the Republican Party talk about the openness and fairness in this process. I suggest to you by engaging former members of one political party and not engaging the other certainly creates serious doubt as to the fairness of this entire process. I had a simple question, of which I thought was a simple question, considering the gravity that we have to meet regarding challenges to the Voting Rights Act. I simply asked the senator from the 28th a question as to whether or not there were any African Americans consulted when these maps were put together. And I believe that's important because not only are there political divisions in this map, but there are also racial divisions in this map. And it would have been interesting for me to be able to contact a member that looks like me and engage them in the process of whether or not they felt what was drawn was fair to all concerned. And even to answer the question about transparency, I will not have that opportunity because there were no minorities that were mentioned, no names given that could have had an input on this process. I'm here today to talk about our communities, Georgia communities. As the senator from the 42nd mentioned, that we're not talking about colors on a map, We're talking about families that seek to have their voices heard up here underneath this place we affectionately call the Gold Dome. I believe that these districts have been stacked. They certainly have been packed. And there are some cases that we can point to in the Hispanic community where districts were even crowded. Those concerns should be a serious concern to all of us in this General Assembly. I'm also aware of members, let me correct that, of at least one member, white member in the Republican Party, House member, who decided that his district had grown over the past decade to be too black, and he wanted another district, and they gave him they drew another district for him and created an open seat, that Republican leaning, so that they could further dilute the black vote in his district. And this particular legislator that I'm talking about is from my own home county, the place where I live in Henry County in this great state. But I mentioned earlier that I'm not under any illusion, nor do I have any hope whatsoever that the comments I share with you will have an impact on your vote one way or the other. So I've decided to direct my comments to the second floor, because it's my hope that this new governor, who not very long ago sat beside me at Ebenezer Baptist Church, the historic church of the greatest civil rights legend in the world, Dr. Martin Luther King, and signed into law a new state civil rights commission honoring the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King. And that's just one occasion that I've had to dialogue and to spend time and even to get to know the occupant of the second floor. Not too long ago, less than a week ago, I had an opportunity, along with other members of this legislature, to even break bread with the occupant of the second floor, who fed us good barbecue, good baked beans and coleslaw, and we dined, and we had a good time at the governor's mansion. So my comments today, as I've had an opportunity to engage the occupant of the second floor, who I believe to be an honorable man and has good intentions of doing what's right for the great state of Georgia. My comments are directed at our governor. And my message is simple. Governor, this process that's been employed in this General Assembly is seriously flawed and wrong. Governor, we've had districts up here that's been split. We've had members in our caucus. And I'm talking about the Legislative Black Caucus whose districts have been paired. We have members in this General Assembly whose districts have been coupled. They've been paired and coupled with other black members of this General Assembly, pitting one against the other, and some have even been paired with other Democrats. Governor, that's wrong, and I hope you hear my plea up here as to what's going on in this General Assembly and act accordingly and demand that these errors, that these flaws that we pointed out and highlighted in these maps are corrected. I hope the occupant of the second floor doesn't listen to the big money interests of powerful law firms, but instead he'll listen to those voices in the community, those that don't have any gold, those that really don't have any gold to even get a ride down here to this Gold Dome, but will listen to those out there in the community that are poor, that are lost, that are disenfranchised, that seek leadership, and that he will be that leader that will rise to the occasion and step up and say that this process is wrong and we must fix it before these maps are sent up to the Justice Department. My message is quite simple to our governor. We have an opportunity We have an opportunity to shape our own destiny and to make our own future. Some in here know how fondly I am of talking about a legacy. And I certainly hope that this governor will remember that this will be his legacy. This will be his legacy that African Americans across this state will hang around his neck from now up until the time that he's gone. And let me just correct that, because history will record this moment for our governor. And it's my hope that our governor will heed this moment, take advantage, embrace this opportunity, and do what I feel and what he feels and what I think the members in our community feel. That is both just and right, and not just and right, but honorable as well. And Mr. President, if there's no further questions, I yield.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against